Let us execute an immediate sweeping analytical vector shift away from the fog-shrouded coastal noir of San Francisco police procedurals and serial abduction task forces and descend directly into the deeply unsettling calculation-heavy tracking grids of Virginia high society secrets, weaponized mimicry execution methods, and the fiercely protective world of an elite private investigator duo running raw tactical alignment loops. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, blood-stained country estates of Wrightsburg, the exclusive procedural grid of an active multi-layered copycat homicide tracking operation, and the lethal analytical parameters of a sprawling, mind-based survival matrix with Our Game, the exceptional, pulse-pounding structural masterpiece marking the monumental second entry in the globally dominant, chart-topping King and Maxwell novel series, engineered by the absolute, undisputed sovereign of high-velocity political conspiracies, masterclass forensic puzzle building, and rogue tactical statecraft, David Baldacci. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, underestimated female investigator asset running an unyielding safety loop, her brilliant ex-Secret Service partner running a deep analytical decryption process, and an absolute defense of an individual's final personal sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn investigative thrillers where an endangered, hyper-observant private intelligence team must navigate an absolute maze of rigged municipal coordinates, elite aristocratic cover-ups, and a deadly ring of active legal gaslighting while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised small-town ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep psychological profiling, calculated ballistic boundaries, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory killer network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, brilliant PI duo hired to defend a petty burglar, uncovers a serial killer perfectly replicating history's most infamous executions diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Baldacci completely dominates the high-precision Secret Service tradecraft meets chilling serial murder puzzles dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating domestic paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like James Patterson, John Grisham, Michael Connelly, and Lee Child, while treating realistic forensic ballistics logistics, complex law enforcement alignment arcs, and protective high-density combat extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legendary powerhouse assets, Sean King and Michelle Maxwell, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of past institutional career trauma, limited local law enforcement backing, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the region's ruling corporate and political capos. Behind Sean and Michelle's rigorous wilderness search footprints and tense client billing ledger logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried high society secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Their collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of protecting world leaders and surviving close-quarters physical ambushes, their entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from an elite, hyper-wealthy family dynasty, parsing complex behavioral shifts from a brilliant, untraceable serial predator, and shielding their vulnerable sanctuary nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches their active scanning perimeter. A seemingly open and shut burglary case involving a local lowlife instantly cross-references with a high-level calculated malice when a dead body is discovered matching the signature style of the infamous long-dead Zodiac killer. As the hidden predator's calculation-heavy execution phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across the county, replicating the chilling methods of the Son of Sam, the Boston Strangler, and Jack the Ripper with terrifying temporal precision, a series of suspicious evidence sabotage attempts, targeted witness frame-ups, and calculation-heavy rural highway ambushes threaten to permanently eliminate Sean and Michelle from the active investigator registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when their defensive maneuvers and raw physical tradecraft reveal that their defense of a wrongful suspect is radically, impossibly altering the community's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine private security and peaceful municipal compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonists run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war across Virginia's wealthy elite circles, where deceptive old money families, highly manipulative county officials, and a calculation-heavy serial killer network launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress their survival data stream.
The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival war turns completely active, transforming the isolated woodland clearings, dark country mansion perimeters, and private fortified offer chambers into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Michelle Maxwell is purposeful and resolute, determined to deploy her massive intuitive combat skills, Olympian physical stamina, and persistent defensive dominance to maintain their perimeter, only to realize Sean's hidden internal grit and deep legal knowledge match her raw tactical speed step for step. Our protective, hyper-vigilant protagonists are forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, elite ballistic mapping skills, and raw intellectual stamina to preserve their focus before the next competitive cleanup phase permanently deletes their progress. Every midnight archive excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an arrogant estate patriarch behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at their reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the wealthy elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Baldacci reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial setup or managing a difficult courtroom testimony. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of institutional hierarchy and high society supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark, possessive loyalty around their partnership, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure their sanctuary, our resilient heroes must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of their final boundary lines. It is a private investigator mystery, copycat serial killer suspense, high society legal thriller, high-velocity contemporary noir puzzle that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one whispered confession triggers a fatal woodland showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff confrontation, or a heavy possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely macked your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Baldacci writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive ballistics residue, old estate dust, rain-soaked leaves, dynamic adrenaline, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this benchmark entry into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Our game is the definitive, pro-level upgrade your high-stakes action fiction and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unput-outable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell with your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.